Star Wars Young Jedi Knights Return to Ord Mantell, Chapter 17. Zeke found himself imprisoned in the same stone-walled room with Han and Anakin Solo. The prisoners provided them with sparse comforts, food, water, blankets, and furniture. Anja's work, perhaps, Zeke wondered. Zeke guessed they were being treated far better than the other captive villagers, though with repeated questions about Janos and the farmers. The repeated questions about the farmers, Janos and the farmers, went unanswered. After hours without explanations, the dark-haired and bearded leader, Ellis, came into them with surprised guests in tow, surrounded by guards from the mountain villages. Jaina! Zeke cried. Jason, Tenelka, and Lobaka came in also with them. Han Solo leapt to his feet to see his children safely arrived. You made it through the forest then, Han said. I was worried about you. We had a pretty unpleasant welcoming committee when we got here to the mine settlements, Jason said. What do these people think they're doing? They think they can end their war this way, Zeke mumbled. Don't they understand the type of people we're dealing with? Ellis said with a low growl. The farmers have done heinous things. But those people are under my protection, Han insisted. I'm with the New Republic. I trusted you to recognize my diplomatic immunity. And we're not harming you or your close friends, General Solo said. Ellis said, you personally have caused us no damage. Janos and his murderous farmers have done us a great harm, though. And we will not treat them like visiting royalty. A storm seemed to pass across Ellis's face, but he brought his emotions under control. It was only out of courtesy and respect for your position that we did not execute every one of the villagers as they arrived. Well, that's something, at least, Han said, considering Ellis through narrowed eyes. We've seen the crap land where you've planted all those burrowing detonators. Those weapons take toll on innocent people as well as fighters, Jaina said. I'd call that an act of terrorism, not a brave military strike. There are no innocents in farming villages, Ellis said. I don't know what lies they've told you. Janos tried to make himself appear helpless and pliable, but he has the blood of hundreds of miners on his hands. Yet he himself stepped on one of your burrowing detonators, Tenelka said coldly. That is how he lost his leg. His heart was dead long before that, Ellis answered. For many years we had a booming business here. My mountain workers labored hard to evacuate the rich ores and crystals from the rich mineral veins. We still sell whatever we find off-world traders, smugglers, anyone brave enough to come to this world and take the meager riches we have to offer. In exchange, they bring us supplies, equipment, and food. And weapons, too, Zeke pointed out. We stopped one of those shipments. We must protect ourselves, Ellis answered, standing in the doorway of the stone chambers. We have a right to do that, don't we? The farmers won't trade with us anymore. We won't starve. We will starve if it weren't for the smugglers. The farmers once provided us with what we needed, and we did the same for them. But because of the bloodthirsty rebellion brought its message here in Anubis, and beyond where even the Emperor cared to look, everything came crashing down. Anubis would have remained neutral, stayed out of the fighting, but the farmers had to choose a side. They stopped trading with us. I ask you, what good does politics do any of us if we barely manage to survive from day to day? He gestured for them to come with him out into the dimly lit tunnels. Come, we have something to show you, Ellis said. You need to see this. Han went first. Zeke took Jaina's hand and followed, with the others close behind. They walked through the stone corridors, excavated tunnels that jerked left and right, curving sideways and down as the miners followed veins of precious metals. As the miners worked the mountains, it looked as though they had left open chambers where new families built houses into the sides of the rough walls using rubble and trailings from the mine mortared together. Finally, the group reached a place where temporary support beams were hammered into place. Sealant foam had been sprayed on the ceilings and walls, and cross beams stretched from one side of the tunnel to the other. Past several posted danger signs, Zeke could see the glow lamps had been crushed and the ceiling had fallen down in broken stabs. The debris was pale and fresh, and the air smelled dusty. Zeke heard tiny pebbles trickling down as the rock fall settled. Ellis gestured with a broad, grimy hand. His fingernails were broken, as if he did most of his work by grasping the rock with his bare hands. This is one of our largest mining chambers, our most active vein. Numerous tunnels led into this place. And now what do you see? Just rubble. You don't want to see what's buried in the rubble, Ellis said, his voice hollow. An entire mining crew is in there, 16 men and women, working hard at excavating. There are many tunnels like this. Was it a rock slide? Jane asked. No, the more farming villagers did this, Ellis said. Commandos come in the night. They make for their way through the forest, wait for sundown, then race up the pathway and into our mine access shafts. Their sonic punchers are quite effective. They slip inside active tunnels, hiding them in the shadows behind stones or at floor level and cracks in the rocks where no one can see them. Then they set the activation timer and flee back into the night like cowards that they are. What are sonic punchers? Jason asked. Motion-activated grenades, Ellis said, his lips curling, his teeth pressed so tightly together that Zeke thought them might crack at any moment. It's not enough for the farming village just to destroy our tunnels and hinder our work. These weapons are more insidious than that. A sonic puncher waits until someone comes by. Then it explodes. A person gets killed every time. He nodded toward the rubble pile. A faint pile of dust siffled into the dark air. As a fresh mining crew entered this grotto, their movements set off one of the sonic punchers. The trigger could have been the sound of their laughter or the songs they sang as they went to work. The sonic blast cracked and shattered the rock walls and the ceiling. The entire crew was buried, crushed and battered to death under the collapse of the cave. We can never go into this area again. It's too unstable. We don't even dare to excavate the grotto to retrieve their bodies. Ellis drew a long, shuddering breath. The miners must rest here, buried in the tunnels where they worked. Over the ages, they will become part of the mountain themselves. Perhaps, then, there will be an end to this war. The mining leader's voice was bleak. Seeing the anger in the man's eyes, Zeke wondered.